Neil, tell us a little bit about your background, your professional background in particular. We can see over your shoulder a BAFTA nomination.
Certificate. It's a nomination, yeah.
So it's either going to be massive acting skills or some other form in the creative.
It was for an animation series I produced for the BBC. So it was as a producer for the BBC. But let me rewind. My background, ex-BBC, used to work in BBC Schools Television, writing and directing educational programs for kids, mostly maths, because that was half my degree was maths, and a computer science degree. And but the thing is, I used to do children's theatre and hospital radio at Great Ormond Street. So for me, it was all about entertaining, engaging the kids first, because if you didn't engage them, they weren't going to watch it anyway. And then you had to inspire them, and then you could teach them. So it's all about engaging and inspiring and then teaching. So the maths programs I used to make had singing and dancing in it, had comedy sketches, had game shows, had interesting and energetic presenters. So it was always a lot of fun. Yeah, lots of fun. First.
What took you into that in the first place?
When I was 11, I saw Crackerjack being recorded at the BBC, and it was that day, and I was 11. That day, I decided I wanted to work in telly. But you know what teachers are like? They say, "Oh, Neil, you're clever. You do maths, do physics, do computer science. Telly is too difficult to get into." So I did what I was told. I was a good boy and did a computer science degree, but always wanted to work in telly. It was in me. So, like I said, I did children's theatre and hospital radio at Great Ormond Street while I was working in IT. And one of the girls at Radio Gosh, Great Ormond Street Hospital Radio, where I was volunteering, worked for the BBC. And she would bring in Ariel, their internal magazine, and there were job pages at the back. And one week there was a job in their IT department, which I was qualified for. So I applied for the job, got the job. And when they asked me, why do you want to work for the BBC? I said, because I want to make TV programs. And they gave me the job. And then I spent the next 2.5, 3 years doing two jobs. The one I was being paid for in the IT department, and the second one, training producers. I used to answer the phones on Children in Need and a Saturday morning live and kicking program that was presented by Philip Schofield at the time. Anything and everything I could do. And after 2.5, 3 years of being an absolute pain in the arse, am I allowed to say that? They finally, Schools TV were looking for somebody to make maths programs, and because half my degree was maths, I was loaned by the IT department to schools to help them, and I never went back. And that was 1989, and I know I don't look old enough, but yeah.
You don't. So,
I don't.
So telling us about a kind of an evolving career there, really. What happened? What brought about that sudden change?
Well, the career was good. So if you keep the story going a little bit, because, it builds suspense. I'm a storyteller, you see. So that was at mid-90s. I left and went freelance as the director and directed everything from Teletubbies to poker programs, and then set up my own production company, making kids and educational programs. Did the animation series for the BBC that was nominated for the BAFTA. I was then hired as a senior producer in Teachers TV, and this was 2010. So I was nominated in 2009 for BAFTA, 2010. Now, in 2010, the BBC moved from White City, Shepherd's Bush, to Manchester. So that was Children's and Schools TV, and that was my biggest client in the BBC. And I had young kids at the time, and I didn't want to move up to Manchester. And a lot of my contacts in BBC and Children's decided to take redundancy because they didn't want to move up. So my contacts within the BBC disappeared. So that was my biggest client gone. The government, when all the austerity had their did lots of cuts, and Teachers TV had their funding cut. So that was my second biggest client gone. And my divorce went through, and that all happened within about 2 months. And that was in December 2010. And then in February 2011, my ex-wife disappeared and left me with the kids. Just couldn't cope. And just one day she was there, and the next day we had no idea where she was. And 3 weeks later, she appeared in Leicester, and I live in Watford. And she couldn't cope, and I was left looking after the children. So no work, no money, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old to look after, and it was like, oh my God, what do I do now?
That's quite some crossroads.
I would say it was a crossroads when all the lights were red and all the lights were green, and all the cars went through it all at the same time and created an all massive pylon. Yeah.
We often talk about people coming to those crossroads where there's either some time or some choice involved in it. It rather sounds from what you're describing is you've arrived at a crossroads, a T-junction, perhaps, where you don't have the luxury of time to know what was coming next. What was going through your mind at that time, and what drove you on to the next stage?
Some of the stuff, I did have time because I knew the BBC was closing or moving away, and Teachers TV. So I had a little time in terms of that work, and I could have had things not happen with the ex, created some work. But it was like, oh my God, I've got 2 kids to look after. I've got no work. I've got no money. And how do I do it? And there wasn't even a T-junction. It was just a no-through road. And you just do what you have to do to survive. It was just survival. So, things I never thought I would do, I had to go and ask for help, and it took a couple of months before the authorities, whoever they are, realized that a bloke would be looking after his kids, because my ex-wife was getting all the child benefit and the support that way. And they didn't believe that she would walk away and leave the kids. And it wasn't until she actually rang them up and spoke to them directly that I got some financial support. And it wasn't for 6 months before I actually got any financial support. And by then, my credit cards and my overdraft had all wrapped up. So then I was in a situation of, oh my God, I've got no money and I've got all this debt, but the kids are right, and I am going to keep this roof over their heads. And then once I knew things were settled, because I was getting some small, although I don't particularly like or didn't particularly like getting it, I was able to go and say, okay, what can I do now? So I actually borrowed a camera. I've got, I had a Mac with software editing system on it. And I started going out and filming stuff in the day while the children were at school and editing it in the evening. So I started making little promo videos and business videos for businesses. And that was okay. And I was able to get a small trickling of income in, which meant, it was like the water level was kind of going like that. Sometimes it's just below the nose and sometimes it's just above. But it was like this. And it was like this for many, many years, 3 or 4 years. I had a turning point a bit later when my daughter was invited to a bouncy castle party. This was about 3 or 4 years into being, about 3 years into being a single dad. Went along, my son came along with me, and the plan was she was going to go to the party and then I was going to go back and we were going to sweep the leaves up in the garden. Let's do something together. But when we arrived, a few of the children had been invited, didn't arrive. And it was in a big sports centre with massive inflatables. So the party host said, would Ollie like to join in as well, which he did. So I got my iPhone 4 out of my pocket and I started filming some of the action that was going on in this place. And as you know, it was an iPhone 4. It was one of the old iPhones. I got it home. I put the footage in the computer, the edit suite, and I was blown away by the quality of the footage from the phone. And I edited a little promo, and I sent it to the company who runs these bouncy castle bouncy castle things. And they said, can we put it on our website? And I said, well, I don't have the permissions of the kids, but we can set another one up and I'll shoot it for you. So from going from the point of people having to pay quite a lot of money, because the kit that I bring in, camera kit, editing, all like that, is quite expensive. And people kept saying, can you do it cheaper? Can you do it cheaper? I had this aha moment as actually I can if I teach you how to do the filming and you do the filming. So I started running video workshops when I taught business owners how to use these things, their smartphones, to shoot their own business videos. And, you know, with 25 years of experience, it's now over 30, working in television and video production, you know, shooting a business video, I don't have to think about it. You know, when I used to direct multi-camera studios, when I'm directing 5 cameras, I've got a crew of over 30 people in a studio that don't do anything unless I open my mouth. Plus cast is like directing one person standing in front of one camera, delivering one idea is like, I could do it with my eyes shut and both hands tied behind my back while balancing on my head, you know, that kind of stuff. So I started running these smartphone video workshops and did quite well with that. And that combined with other work that I did, made it a little bit easier for me because I could run a workshop every 6 weeks. And if I got enough people in a 1-day workshop, that was 2-3 weeks worth of money for me in a 1-day workshop, which really took the pressure off.
You talked about being able to do that sort of thing standing on your head or with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
I suspect there's rather more to it than that.
Okay.
I guess I'm asking really about where your sense of purpose comes from. What would you say drives you and makes you most proud of what you're doing?
If I'm able to make a difference, then I feel, you know, that makes a big difference to me. If I'm able to help somebody else make a bigger difference in what they do, I'm making a difference by osmosis. Is that the right word?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So if I'm able to help, you know, people that came on my course were therapists, trainers, consultants, people like that who shared their expertise with others. So if I was able to help them do more in their business and help more people, then I was by osmosis helping more people. So that's one of the motivating factors. I have another big project, and this has been running in parallel all the way through this, which is my real passion. And I haven't told you about this might throw you, is a film script that I've been working on for many years, which when it's made, it will change people's perception of people that are different. So that is the real driver for me. I mean, when I was 11, I wanted to make TV programs, right? And I would not let that idea go until I started making TV programs, right? Once I got to start making TV programs, the next goal was to write and direct a kids' comedy drama by the age of 30. And on my 30th birthday, we wrapped on the final day of a one-off comedy drama that I had written and directed. So I'd done that. And then there was a period of time when it was like there was no purpose. I was just earning money, doing my job, and the direction was a little bit lost. But then working on this film script, this will make a difference. It's one of these films where people will watch it, they'll laugh a lot, they'll shed the odd tear, and they'll learn something about themselves and others that they didn't realize. And, you know, so for me, that is the new drive. What I'm doing with working with business owners and helping them make a difference does give me pleasure, but it also helps me earn an income and pay the bills and have the kind of life I want in order for me to do this bigger thing.
Yes, but what comes through to me listening about that is if you like your film script is your passion, but for both of them, you're looking at projects that make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the biggest things, I do a lot of networking, and you've heard it because you've been on some of my workshops, and you've heard it when people in their videos or their network start saying, I do this and I do that and I do that. I know from working in television that the audience is more important than the person on the screen. So you have to make something that connects with the audience. So I help my clients shift the way they talk. So they're talking in a way that engages their audience. And when they do that, when they start saying, do you or have you, it draws the audience in. And that way, they are able to draw more people in, more people want to work with them, and then they make a bigger difference. And that is just one thing that I know from working in telly. It's just, for me, it's instinctive, it's natural. But most business owners don't go that way. So I don't know where that came from. That maybe that's a slight tangential, but hey.
Well, I think there's an interesting distinction there between when we talk about I do A, B, C, D, and I am, about the who I am, more deep, re-audiencing the story, perhaps, which is something we talk about a lot in Next Chapter Reviews. When we go back and look at the stories, what happens if we look at them in a slightly different light?
I'm not entirely convinced by that. I mean, I don't know what you're doing in depth, but even saying I am, yes, I know there is a difference between I am and I do. I do is a list of actions and tasks that I have the capacity, but I am tells more about me as an individual and stuff. But even so, if I'm standing there saying I am, and there are lots of people standing around, why would they be interested in me telling them what I am? And for me, that's what it's about. It's like, how do I get them interested? So let's say, for example, I'm the world's best guru or best yoga teacher or whatever. I wouldn't say I am the best yoga teacher in the world, or I would show them, I would demonstrate and draw them in so they would experience me being the best yoga teacher, and I wouldn't need to tell them. And that's what I'm saying about where people talk about I am. If you're really that good, you wouldn't even need to say that you are. People will get it by the way you talk and your expertise and what you're sharing.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And thank you for clarifying. I guess what I had in mind was the story we tell ourselves. When we discover who we are, then that comes out. We don't need to say it. It just becomes an intrinsic part of who we are and what we do.
Well, the story we tell ourselves is just that. It's a story, and it might not be true. So actually, and I'm a great believer of what you think creates the results. So if the story you tell yourself is that you're shy and nervous in front of camera and not very good at talking to people, that will create your reality. And that's what happens. If you think, I know what I'm talking about, I'm energetic, I'm confident, I'm funny, then that's how you will be. But you don't need to say it. You just need to think it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you what I am or who I am or where I am. You're just going to have to see it.
I think it does come out, at least part of it anyway.
Yeah.
And this might be an impossible question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you look back over those, 9 years since that trigger point in late 2010, early 2011, what do you wish you'd known then that you know now?
By the way, the question isn't impossible because you actually just said it. The answer may be impossible, but the question is not. See, there you go. Smart.
Absolutely right.
What I wish I'd known now, that, and I've learned this over time, is trust things will be okay. Things always turn out right, and they always work for the right reason. So it is about trusting and be honest. So to be honest about things, there are times when it's difficult to say what I really think, and I might try to butter it or say it differently or not say because I don't want to upset or offend. And actually, it works so much better when you tell the truth, when it is how it is.
That's
Just say
great.
it sweetly.
That's great. Neil, thank you very much indeed.